All right, the final is in 124-116. The Nuggets beat the Kings. Two things. The Kings lost this game in the first quarter when they were outscored by 8. The final score was an 8-point deficit. Now the best that the Kings can do this year is 500 at 41-41 with 2 games left. The Clippers game, which is a gigantic game for the Clippers, coming up next, and then the Phoenix Suns, because the Warriors lost at home to the Spurs tonight. So we'll talk about all of these things. So happy to have you here on the post-game show. No beam lit. And here's something else, Ryno. The Kings have a losing record at home now at 19-20.
That's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. I'm going to debate you, though. I think the Kings lost this game in the third quarter. They gave up 5 offensive rebounds in the first half. They gave up 5 offensive rebounds in the third quarter alone for 9 points in that quarter, which makes your separation there as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But even with all of that said, and I think the point you're trying to make is they left points out there on the floor, that they only trailed by Denver 27-25 in that third quarter. The final score is 124-116. The Kings got outscored in the first quarter 33-25.
Yeah, you can't ignore that. There's multiple things. Penalty in the fourth quarter at 7:27. They shoot 14 or 13 free throws in the fourth quarter alone. 0 bench points in the second half, Grant. A lot of ways you can go.
Yeah, the bench, neither of the benches, the starters for both teams, 10 players all scored in double figures. You don't see that very often in the NBA. This was a starters game. It wasn't a bench game. And here's the reality right now. Without Malik Monk for the next 2 games in the play-in, you don't have LaRavia. You haven't had Keegan Murray. Your bench is short, and you have to rely on your starters. I'd say this. I thought Trey Lyles played very well in his role.
He played his tail off. He spurred the run that the Kings had in the fourth quarter. He dived for that ball. The fans acknowledged it. The Kings go on a run from there. And then Denver, Grant, 12 points in clutch time. The Kings, 4. That was it. Is there anything you take from this game, bigger picture, now that we know Monk's not going to be around?
Well, you'd have to give me the part B to that. Is that having Keegan Murray coming back or without Murray too?
No, you have Keegan Murray back.
Okay. Listen, anyone that thinks they're not going to miss Malik Monk is delusional, because there are nights when Malik can carry a team. And particularly when you get to a 48-minute elimination game, when you have Monk on the floor at the end of the games where he's been so good, you're going to miss that. I know Levine and DeRozan are tremendous give me the ball end of the game guys, but Malik Monk just adds that extra dimension, which you're not going to have now. So, yeah, they're going to miss him.
Keegan Murray might be the most important guy when we talk about Malik Monk going out, because he's going to have to bring some scoring and break up what we saw tonight between Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, because what you saw tonight was a clear game plan. Make DeMar DeRozan beat us. We're going to shade towards Zach. We're going to double him all game long, Grant, and we're going to let the Kings play slow, because the Kings don't play well slow. And you saw him pounding the ball. In fact, here's a picture of what the defense will look like. And that's where I think having a Keegan Murray back, you got to find a way to make him effective, because if you do this with Zach all night long, the Kings aren't going to get into transition that much. It's just not going to happen.
You also talked about DeRozan. He was not good tonight, and Denver did a tremendous job on him. But still, DeMar DeRozan, not good. 40 minutes, 8 of 26 from the floor. It's not very good. You asked me, what do I take from this game? Kings fans are not going to want to hear this. Tonight's game is pretty much meaningless, and so will the Clippers game, and so will the Suns game. The Kings are in the play-in, and they're going to be at home. So you, as a fan, you're going to judge this entire season on the next game or next 2 games. That's how fans are. I'm not, but you will, because I know how you think. And I don't mean this to be like a wise ass. I'm just telling you, this is how you're going to evaluate this season.
Yeah.
Tonight's game really doesn't mean a damn thing for the Kings. It doesn't. Other than the fact that you now don't have a chance to finish over 500 this year. That's all that matters to me. It means nothing. It really doesn't. I'm sorry. But this game doesn't mean anything, because it doesn't affect the standings in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Fair enough. I feel a little bit different with what Denver did, but we've got all show to debate it. And we want to get you in here as well. You're welcome to call. Just hit the link that is in the chat. You can also scan the QR code above our shoulders. We're going to let Rajan lead off. Rajan, what's going on tonight?
I'm doing good.
What's up, dude?
I'm just saying that this was a good game in my opinion.
Okay, lay it out.
And well, I only watched the fourth quarter because I didn't know that game was happening today. So, good steal by Keon Ellis, though. I give credit to that.
Well, you're a smart kid. Keon, he gets his hand on the ball a lot and creates things with deflections and steals. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because a lot of fans just want to talk about all the players that score, but Keon does those things that sometimes don't show up in the box score, but you notice that. So that's a good eye by you.
Yeah.
Yep. And that defensive play he made, even though Michael Porter Jr. made the shot, Rajan, you will not see a smarter, better defensive play on a three-pointer all season long.
Yep.
Watch that back. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have a question for you. Are we pronouncing your first name correctly, Rajan?
No, it's Rajan.
Rajan. See?
Yes.
All right. We are sorry for mispronouncing your name, but from now on, Rajan, we won't make a mistake, okay?
It's good. It's okay.
Okay. Well, listen, you take care. Thank you for calling the show, and have a good night, okay?
You too, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love that.
Grant, to be a kid. Oh, I didn't even realize they were playing. I caught the fourth quarter.
I love it. I love it.
Great steal.
I love it.
Great stuff.
I love it.
Tedora,
holy moly, Zimbabwe!
You might have met your future Mr. across the sea that calls the show and talks basketball and knows what he's talking about. Good stuff.
Hey, how about Luka tonight going to Dallas and putting a 45 on the board?
To be
45
expected.
Points, season high for Luka against the Mavs tonight.
He had 31 in the first half, Grant.
Yeah. Well, he coasted. How about that? Could you imagine being a Mavericks fan tonight?
No. And it's I actually feel like it doesn't give them closure. I think they're going to look forward to seeing Luka come back for years to come, as much as it hurts. I want to take you a different way, though, with Luka. Did you see his ejection last night?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that? Because you've talked about the magic words here and there, but it seemed like he was talking to a fan.
Yeah, I think JT Orr made a mistake.
Yeah.
And once you eject a player, you can't change that. And I think he knows he made a mistake. So I think that in that latitude, give him a technical, or I think he'd already had a technical, but
he did.
It's just, when you eject a player in that situation, time, score, star, you better make sure you're 100% correct.
And it was a 1-point play early in the fourth, or it was a 1-point game early in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
I guess that's where, if you're Luka, your reputation precedes you, unfortunately.
Hey, I got some information for you now. Tell me this isn't interesting. The Golden State Warriors are now 7th. And guess who they play coming up in game 82? The Warriors play the LA Clippers.
Wow.
In the final game of the year. If the Clippers beat the Kings, they would be 48-32. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the Warriors win their next game, they would be 48-33. Is that right? Yeah. So think about this. Actually, the Clippers with the win now are 48-32. Excuse me. The Warriors are a game behind. Look at this. All right. I don't know if those standings you're showing are updated or not, but the Clippers have now all of a sudden gotten hot. They've won 8 of 10, and they're now 48-32, and the Warriors are 47-33. How big is that game going to be in LA? Wow.
It's going to be massive. You know who beat the Warriors tonight?
Yeah, the Spurs.
San Francisco. Yeah, but you know who hit the game-winning shot?
Harrison Barnes.
2 years too late.
Yep.
But he
Well,
finally nailed it.
I'm a huge Harrison Barnes fan.
Yeah.
And you're right. 2 years too late. I understand your point you're trying to make in the playoffs, but I'm a huge Harrison Barnes fan, and I think he's going to be part of a successful run when the Spurs get healthy, plus another draft pick.
I could not agree with you more. Well said. J Cal, my Stockton buddy. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Hey, I bet shout out to HB. I bet that felt really, really, really good. After missing that one shot in Game 4. But I was wondering now the Kings are in the play-in. Do you think Coach Christie plays his starters less minutes now? Because these games don't matter.
But he won't.
Yeah,
I could see in the Suns game in the finale doing that, but against the Clippers, Doug will use that as we still need to have a good vibe. We need to be feeling good. We need to be, in sync going into the playoffs. And I know how Doug thinks. That's exactly how we'll be. The Suns game, all bets off.
Yeah, you've got to, because you're playing different combinations, and by no means were the combinations you saw tonight what you might see in the play-in, but that's why the transition defense suffered in the first half, because you had guys out there that had not been on the floor together probably at all this year.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the transition defense suffered in the first half because it's the first game back from a long road trip, and almost every single experience that I've had following a team in Sacramento after a long road trip, the first half is sluggish. It's like their feet are in mud. And I think we saw a lot of that in the first half.
Yeah.
Even Isaac Jones, who barely played on the road trip.
Yeah, but Isaac Jones to me is a guy that, I mean, I don't want to slight him. He's got such limited experience. And the point you made about familiarity may be true, but to me, transition defense is about hustle your ass off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Yeah,
very true.
Well said. All right, Ryno, I'll see you Friday.
Yes, be down in Stockton. Come say hi. What's up, man?
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. And by that I mean, transition defense is just running hard a lot of times. There are other aspects of it. Where are you on a potential rebound attempt? What are you doing after, if it's a made basket as opposed to a shot that's missed? Because most of your transition occurs on a missed shot off a rebound. There are teams that can take the ball out of the basket and still get into a transition game, but does not happen very often and should not happen very often.
Yeah, fair enough. See, in transition, to me, when the Kings were successful on this road trip, they were firing in transition, whether Malik was there or he wasn't. And tonight really worried me that you're not going to be able to have success in the half court and be a transitional team where you're running, because if the ball's going to be in DeMar DeRozan's hands, Grant, it's going to be a slower pace. You might get to the free throw line, but that means a grimier, muddier game where the Kings don't always excel.
It is something to look at, assuming that you play Dallas, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be playing Dallas. We talk about matchups, right? We talk about their strength. And when you look at the Mavericks and the Kings right now, there's nobody that would say that the Mavericks are a better team without Kyrie Irving. Now, if they had Kyrie Irving, I would actually pick Dallas to beat Sacramento with a healthy Anthony Davis. Yeah. But they don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually have not watched a lot of Dallas since AD's been back.
Yeah.
They
got blown out tonight. They got blown out tonight at home by the Lakers, and Anthony Davis played.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they were walking in already losers in that one. There's no way Luka was losing that game.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's not only that they lost, they got blown out. The final score was, well, I shouldn't say they got blown out, but they didn't even score 100 points. It was 112-97. But your point's well taken. I would agree with you that was going to be a very difficult scenario for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Back to the Clippers really quick, and we're going to go to the phones.
Yeah.
The defense translates. What Jeff Van Gundy has done down there has been great. I guess, is this James Harden's shot if they continue playing this well? Is it going to be, does James Harden show up?
Well, the good news, if you're a Clippers fan, is they can probably still win if James Harden has an off game. If Kawhi Leonard is playing well. Here's the other issue, and I am not a fan of this guy at all, but having Ben Simmons to neutralize the other team's best scorer is huge. And that's another reason why I don't want the Kings to play the Clippers in the play-in. Because if the Clippers fall to 7th or 8th and don't win their first game, I don't like the matchups for Sacramento right now against the Clippers. I think they would have a very difficult game going to LA and winning that. Very difficult.
You hit the nail on the head about Ben Simmons. We never saw the Clippers with Ben Simmons. He changes the formula.
Yes.
Like if Jeff Van Gundy could go out and handpick somebody available at the deadline, that's the guy.
Because they do not need him to score a point. All right.
Not a point.
They don't need him to shoot. They need him to distribute, which he does very well, rebound, and stop the other team's best scorer. And you know what? He has the ability to stop the other team's best scorer.
Yep. Well said. PK, you made it.
Yo.
PK, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys. Hey, shout out to that little kid. You know what? Whoever that little kid was that called in, I agree with him. I don't agree with Grant today. I agree with that kid.
Well,
I thought it was a good game.
He makes a lot more sense to me. So that's I got
well,
no
you
problem.
know what, Grant? You're trying to be negative today. I thought it was a good game too. I thought they played really well. I agree with that kid instead of you, Grant. And
Thank you.
And I think you're welcome. And I thought like there were some good things. You know, I thought we were gonna get blown out after the the injury reports came in, and without Monk, I'm kind of impressed with how Levine is playing with Sabonis now. I kind of like that dynamic. Seeing some of that, some chemistry building over there, just kind of like what Monk was doing. But Monk is an idiot, turns the ball over. Levine, I think, is like it's kind of an interesting dynamic that they have, and also. What do you think from your experience when you see Keon Ellis shoot the ball? I feel like he has a really, really nice shot on him.
Right. He's percentage-wise, he's the best on the team.
No, just the shot itself looks like the way like his decisions. It's like he doesn't shoot. We always say he's like a defensive guy, but offensively he seems pretty cool.
So PK, he is the opposite of Devin Carter, where we're talking about maybe you tweak a thing here or there.
Oh, the goofy Carter, you mean?
Devin Carter. I'm not gonna call him Goofy Carter, dude. But Keon, his mechanics are a little bit different. His feet are not pointed towards the basket, but it works. I talked to Jerry about this. Just like he's not a Peja, but just like he didn't mess with what Peja did because it was effective for him. You let it go the way it is.
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job. And, this game, I mean, if we just needed Keegan really bad, I think. And I love you guys, and I'm going to let you guys take over the show.
Thank you. While he was talking, I was just looking this up to see what the season series is against the Warriors and the Clippers, because the tiebreaker scenario could be huge there.
Sure.
The Warriors have lost all 3 games to the Clippers. So the Clippers would have the tiebreaker. So that means that game could be meaningless for the Warriors and the Clippers in terms of which team finishes ahead of the other team.
Right.
But it may not be meaningless for being you could still be the 6th seed. But the point is, keep that in mind. The Clippers already have that. So you know what that means? The Clippers are going to be coming into Sacramento, and that's going to be their biggest game of the year. It's their biggest game of the year.
Boom.
Because if they win that game, doesn't matter. They're good.
Yep, table's set. We don't have any fancy music, but Maitre D Todd, what's up?
Hey guys, how you doing?
How are you?
Want to check in, calling you from Nazaré, Portugal, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Just trying to live my life like Grant Napier does. And just spent a couple days up in Porto, a great town. And
I
really
hear
welcome
Porto
me
is
there.
absolutely phenomenal. I got a good friend that has just either purchased or is in the middle of purchasing 2 condos there, and he raves about that. He says that's one of the greatest places you've ever been to on the globe.
Not 1 condo, 2?
2.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe you could hook me up, Grant, because
Yeah.
I thought about it too. But on the way to moving here, I actually met a gal, and now I'm in my hometown of Sac, kind of falling in love. But anyway, let's get to basketball.
Okay.
I feel good about things. I mean, Levine's finally out of his head and on the court, and he can do special things. Nobody wants to see us come going forward, I don't think. We're going to be a pain in anybody's rear. And, you know, if we make the right moves in the offseason, I'm very excited about next year as well. So let's see how this thing rolls. And, you know, I mean, what a schizophrenic year, but it's kind of coming out in the wash. So I'm excited.
All right, man. Well, thank you. Appreciate you calling in from Portugal. Happy for you, and keep up the spirits, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.
Thank you very much. Good job there. Hey, I want to tell you about, speaking of a good job, that would be New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you, and they're available 24/7. They'll do not only a good job, they'll do a great job. Ryan can attest to that. So many others that have sent me nice messages talking about New Works Plumbing. You got the number on your screen, saxserviceplumbing.com, or just go to newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. And I always love talking about Bennett's. Don't forget about your Mother's Day reservations coming up in a couple of weeks. Prime seafood and steaks, whether it is at the West Side Grill in Rockland or their Sacramento and Roseville locations. You go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make your reservation. Whether, again, it's in Rockland, that's their newest of the 3 restaurants, the West Side Grill, or Sacramento or Roseville. You'll love it. Prime seafood and steaks at Bennett's, Bennett'sRestaurants.com.
They're rolling out some new lunchtime specials. These
Yes.
Specialty sandwiches from 11 to 4. Get to the website and look at these things. Incredible deal. They look delicious.
Absolutely. And don't forget about my rant with Grant coming up in a little bit. I need some rant ideas. Thank you very much.
Get them in the chat. We will take them under consideration. If you want to call, we can keep rolling phone calls as well. We await some word from Doug Christie on this one. You in any rush to get Keegan Murray back?
Yeah, I want him back for the Suns game for some conditioning and just get his feet under him, because you have a long layoff between that and your play-in game. So yes, I shouldn't say a long layoff, but that would be a long layoff for him. I would want him back for the Suns game. Yes.
Yeah, you know who could be the guy that we end up talking about the most if you can get back is Jake LaRavia. He's in the first stages of doing some on-court activity, but as of late, before he got hurt, he was Doug Christie's utility tool that he was throwing at mismatches and just going out there and playing his tail off. I think that makes a big difference with the Kings in the play-in if he's available.
On a side note, I want to say congratulations to David Adelman, somebody that I've known for a long time, the son of Rick Adelman. And I don't know what's going to happen with David Adelman in terms of whether he'll get the full-time job. I know there are many people in the league that feel he is an NBA head coach, and it's only a matter of time. Maybe his time's coming right now if the Nuggets can finish strong and do well in the postseason. I'm just very happy for him on a personal note. He's a great guy. Obviously, his basketball resume speaks for itself. He's been around the game ever since he could walk, and I know he's very well respected around the league. I have a lot of respect for him, and I just wanted to say this was a special night for him for a variety of reasons. Not only, coaching the team, but coming back to a city which he loved and he grew up in.
Yeah.
And his dad had so much success. This was a special night for David Adelman, and I'm happy for him.
And seeing a familiar face calling the game and Jerry, it must have been just a really cool throwback and surreal experience altogether, coaching your
Yeah.
first NBA game
Yeah.
as a head coach.
124 to 116, the final tonight. Sacramento, with the loss now, has 41 losses, so they can't do any better than 500, and I think they're going to have a very difficult time beating the Clippers. Can they beat them? Yeah, of course they can beat them, but I think that's going to be a very challenging game for them. I do think they'll beat Phoenix, but that is going to be a very challenging game. All right, so let me update the standings now, all right? Denver is 48 and 32. The Clippers are 48 and 32. Denver's fourth. The Clippers are fifth. All right. Then you have Memphis at 47 and 32. The biggest game of the NBA is tomorrow night. Memphis hosts Minnesota. Memphis is sixth. Minnesota is eighth. They're separated by one game. This is a gigantic game. Memphis has two tough games coming up to end the season. Minnesota's got two breathers. So I'm projecting Minnesota, if they lose tomorrow, to win their final two, where Memphis has two really their final three games are brutal. All right. I'll show you their schedule here. The Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow, if they win, they're breathing, but they end the season at Denver. And then their last game is home against Dallas. And I would think they could beat Dallas, but that Denver game is going to be very difficult. The Minnesota-Memphis game tomorrow is going to have a lot of ramifications on play-in and who the Kings are going to play. The game tomorrow is going to have big ramifications.
So if you're a Kings fan, you're saying you should be rooting for Minnesota
tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Now, Memphis at home this year is 25 and 14, but they're going to be playing without Jalen Wells, their outstanding rookie, Sacramento product, and that's a big loss for them.
It's a huge loss for him. It's the reason Jake LaRavia got shipped out of Memphis. He got played out of his job and contract coming up as well. But they still got JJ, and everything comes down really to Ja Morant. Does he get hyper-focused on the three-point line, Grant, or is he going to be the aggressive Ja Morant that's focused on basketball and not his hand signals?
It's a huge game tomorrow. Huge game.
No doubt about it. Rant ideas. Do we have any?
You know, I'm so tired about the refs versus the Kings rant. You know, you stop it with the nonsense, would you please?
The refs versus the Kings? Are we going all the way back to 2002? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. It's like whenever the Kings lose, it's the refs' fault. It's just incredible to me. Over and over and over again. And that's true, by the way, of most fan bases and most cities in America. And I think gambling has a lot to do with it, to be honest with you.
100%. You know, you were talking about gambling on your show not too long ago, and I wonder how long it's going to be until the Players Association starts requesting a bigger cut of the pie from the gambling revenue because of all the stuff the players go through on the back end, whether it be social media, their families being harassed, because players can't engage in gambling, something they can't do, but they're getting the brunt of the blame.
I don't know how that would happen. I mean, I don't know how that could possibly come to fruition, because the legalized gambling companies, the legalized books, they have no obligation at all to the NBA. Now you could say, well, we're not going to allow our sport to be used for gambling, but I don't know how that formula could possibly work.
Well, I'm talking NBA specific right now. The NBA has deals with gambling companies, right?
Yes,
so if you're go ahead. If you're taking that money, I'm of the opinion some of that money needs to go to help put things in place to put a buffer between the fans and the players when it comes to that, because multiple high-level players are speaking out about that.
NBA players get a specific percentage of all basketball-related revenue. It's right now. So if the pie is 100%, let's just say the players get 54% of every penny that comes into the NBA. So that's already in there. Now, if you're going to tell me the players need to make a certain percentage on the gross revenue of all the bets placed on the sport, I don't think that's practical, and I don't think that will ever happen.
Not all the money, gross money on bets placed on the sport, but the gross amount of a higher percentage of the gross amount of money the league is receiving.
Not going to happen.
As
They
a
already
sponsor.
do. They already do. They already are. It's already in the collective bargaining agreement. They get a certain percentage of all basketball related revenue. It's already in there. They get it. So they're not going to change that.
Okay, well, maybe not in this CBA, but I think it's something to pay attention to, because if Coca-Cola is a sponsor, you don't have Pepsi fans coming after the players, right? It's a different animal. It's not a typical sponsor.
The NBA is never going to, the owners are never going to agree to that, because the players are already making over 50% of the basketball related revenue. That would never, it's not going to happen. I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen.
Fair enough. I just think it's something that the players are starting to, Jalen Brunson has spoken out about it. I think it's starting to bubble at the surface with how much ridiculous money is coming in from the sponsorships.
I think the bigger, and listen, you bring up a great subject, and it's worth talking about. My own opinion is the NBA should be a lot more concerned not to have any more Porter situations that we had last year in Toronto. That's their biggest issue, because that gets right to the integrity of the league. And because we get folks on this platform and others across the country, when a team loses, particularly a team that loses a very close game, those that lose money gambling want to know if a player was in on a fix, if the officials were. You're always going to have that gray area. And you're one instance away from having this become a major problem if you ever find a player or an official that has deemed to have an impact on a game. Porter was prop bets, and I don't believe that anyone that bet on him, the outcome of the game didn't seem to be affected. But you know what I'm talking about here, all right? You know, if you have a player throwing a game deliberately or an official, and that becomes public and that's out there in the public, that's going to be devastating for this league.
And it probably would be a much, you think Donaghy was a big deal? This would be on a much grander scale, because you have legal gambling now, and you have so many more people placing money on gambling. Like Dorian during the summers, he calls us and says, hey, I subscribe to this guy. I don't watch the games, but he tells me how to bet. And you've got other people like that are invested. What are the things you don't do? You don't kick somebody's dog.
Yes.
You don't mess with their money. You don't touch another man's barbecue. It's in those morals. So yeah, you're going to have a problem. But I just really quick to put a bow tie on this.
Please.
I think the NBA, because I think the players at some point could have an argument that the NBA has an obligation to provide some type of additional protections to them from people that are harassing them, because the NBA is taking in money from these sponsors promoting gambling.
The NBA does have a barrier, and they have an amazing security detail that we're not even aware of, that their main job is exactly what you're talking about. There are layers of protection between casinos, sports books, legal and illegal, and their players. It's there already. You just don't see it. It's there.
Okay.
It's there. It really is. All right. Before we move on, it is time for a Grant rant. All right. A rant with Grant, brought to you by EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. You go to their website, and I'll put it up there for you in a moment, edhmotors.com. But David and Adam, two guys trying to do something different and better. You've got the email, you got their phone number, and now you've got the website. If you're not looking to sell your vehicle, but you want to buy, go to edhmotors.com And if you don't see what you're looking for, no problem. They're decades of automotive experience. They'll get it for you. Again, that's EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined, and a rant with Grant. So here's my question, Kings fans. When the Kings acquired Jonas Valanciunas, he made an impact right off the get-go. And we were talking about how good he looked and what a welcome addition this was to the Sacramento Kings. What's happened to Valanciunas? Not his fault. He can't put himself into the game. He only played 9 minutes tonight. We're talking about too many games where Valanciunas doesn't even play 10 minutes. Jonas Valanciunas not playing double-digit minutes every night, to me, is a crime. This guy can play very well, and you saw how well he could play when Sabonis was out for the couple of games. And even then, for whatever reason, Doug Christie didn't seem to use him the way we, along with Jerry Reynolds, thought he should be used. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Where's Valanciunas? Why is he not playing more? And for those of you that have reached out on the chat line and asked the same question, I'm wondering the exact same thing. It doesn't make sense. Valanciunas may not be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He may not be Nikola Jokic, but he's a good player. And it seems to me that the Kings play better when he's on the floor. And Ryan and Jerry have talked about this ad nauseum. Why aren't they on the floor together? Why isn't Valanciunas and Sabonis on the floor together more? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And that's my rant for tonight.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Nobody does it better than you. Good topic, too. The only thing I can kind of think of right now, Grant, is Doug Christie's keeping an ace up his sleeve for the play-in. Playing the two together.
Expand on that.
Well, just playing, throwing some different looks at teams that are not on film yet. You will have very little film of Sabonis and Valanciunas playing together. You have one extended clip, and it worked out really well. It brought the Kings back. Jerry's talked about bringing the big men up to the high post like they used to do in 2002, which Doug would be very familiar with. Jerry's talked about the high-low game like we saw tonight with Denver at times with their guys, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. You can do that with Keegan Murray. Hell, you can kind of do that with DeMar DeRozan. So,
all right, well, I've got a question for you because you talked about the Kings transition in the first half, and you were talking about because of the different combinations and the unfamiliarity with everything, wouldn't you want Valanciunas and Sabonis to get into a real rhythm as opposed to just trying it like in very small sample sizes in a game that determines whether your season continues or not?
Well, I think they're the exception to the rule because they know each other so well. They've trained together. They've played together. I think it's a little bit different. I think that they can fit fairly easily.
All right. What about their fit with the other guys on the team like Keon Ellis? And I mean, it's not just a two-man game. What about what about everyone being in sync?
Well, you would have to do it with certain combinations that are more conducive to cutting. I don't know how great DeMar DeRozan looks in that. I think Keon looks fine. You need somebody that can get the ball up there. And I think tonight that was the biggest liability for the Kings with Zach LaVine getting shaded on, getting turnovers, and nobody else that could really effectively bring the ball up the court.
So I think that they should beat Dallas regardless of whether Valanciunas is on the floor or not. They're just a better team than Dallas.
They should. I
know. Could. The Kings at home have shown that they are not a very good team. Hey, before we get in on this subject, I do want to talk about Connor with Element Mortgage. And hey, real estate agents, if you need a lender who works as hard for your clients as you do, Connor's your guy. He will get deals done, first and foremost. He'll keep you informed at every step in the loan process, and he'll make the process easy for your buyers. Give him a call at 916-505-1006. That's 916-505-1006. Tons of experience, a guy that you can trust. That's Connor with Element Mortgage. Hit that QR code and get all the information you need. 916-505-1006. Connor, and I know he's not happy tonight, a big-time Kings fan.
No, he is not. You think they could sign Connor to a 10-day deal? He would clog up the
You
lane
get
with
some
those
rebounds, I
shoulders.
know that.
Yes, he would. Just being on the court, he's already boxing out. People are running around him.
Yeah. Man, what do you think for the Clippers game coming up?
I think you play it fairly conservative. I don't think that you have much to gain. You have more to lose in that one. If there's anything that you are trying to work out between your bench, maybe you try not give them explicit more minutes and start them, but you play with the combinations if you have an idea, and reduce the minutes for the starters as much as you can. Doesn't mean you come down to 20, but Grant, you probably don't want to see anybody playing over 35, 37 in that one.
Levine plays 40-plus minutes every night. It's just he played 44 again tonight. I don't want to see that.
No. And Doug doesn't know. This is the interesting thing. If you go back and look, it's not scheduled who's going to stay in the entire first quarter. It rotates depending on who's hot. And he's had to ride with Levine with Monk out.
What's your schedule? What's your schedule tomorrow?
Tomorrow, 2:00 right here, Kings Court. We are live.
Sounds good. I appreciate all the feedback today and everything else. No beam lit tonight, but there's a huge game coming up. It's a much bigger game for the Clippers than it is for the Kings, and that will be the next game. And don't forget the Kings Court tomorrow at 2:00. Any final thoughts, my friend?
Not in particular. I'm going to let you take us home.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Listen, I don't want to keep harping on this. I'm okay with what happened tonight. I'm not that disappointed with the loss because I don't think you're going to be talking about this game next week. The Kings are in the play-in. They're going to be at home in all likelihood, which I don't know if that's good. They're under 500 at home, but don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.